All right, let's get to the NFL because what a mess, you guys. It has been a hot mess in New York for both the Jets and the Giants.
I guess it's technically New Jersey.
But they're still New York. So let's start with the Giants since they're the most recent hot mess. They officially released Daniel Jones, and let's run through the timeline, right? Because first they benched him on Monday. Then Jones gave a statement on Thursday. Looked like he was about to cry, but was taking responsibility for his play, the team's play, and thanked the Giants for the opportunity. Then Friday, the Giants released him and a statement from Giants president saying, Daniel came to me this morning and asked if we would release him. We mutually agreed that was best for him and the team. La, 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 la. We wish him nothing but the best for the future, which then made the Thursday statement make a lot more sense because it felt like he was saying goodbye to fans and the organization, and he was, because then he went in to get asked to get released the next day. But the craziest part of all this to me, you guys, is that the Giants paid Daniel Jones and not Saquon Barkley. When Barkley was by far the better player on this team, he wanted to stay in New York, but instead gave the bag to Daniel Jones, and now he's gone. And Saquon actually commented on the whole situation this week saying, sucks how it all went down. It didn't work out for me over there. I'm doing well over here. Yes, he is. Hopefully he can find the same kind of fresh start and success.
Yeah.
It's just, we got a little sneak peek into the dysfunction of that franchise during Hard Knocks and how the whole Saquon situation went down. But the Giants, man, they've got a lot to figure out.
I mean, I feel for Daniel Jones because this isn't all on him.
No.
Either you get rid of his best offensive weapon. What is he supposed to do? The crazy part is, though, that, yeah, they signed him to an extension last year because ego is a hell of a thing.
Yep.
It's, hey, sticking behind Daniel Jones because you were the one to take him. And I don't know how many more chances that this front office is going to get.
Probably.
There's a huge decision now looming for the Giants in this offseason where it's like, all right, who's going to stay from either this coaching staff? I still think Brian Daboll's a good coach, but this front office, are you going to let them evaluate and draft another quarterback?
But also, you let Saquon Barkley go, and he's oh man,
that was. I saw both sides of it at the time. Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight at this point and the benefit of being able to look back and say, oh, yeah, obviously that didn't work out. But it was, if you guys were trying to get younger, if you were trying to save money on the cap, if you were trying to build this team kind of by reloading and not totally tearing it down, then that made sense to offload if you don't want to pay a running back. And especially given the fact that Saquon Barkley isn't young by running back standards.
But thriving, he's still top two.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
I do think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he got a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, no, he needed this. It was actually the best case scenario for
him.
Yeah,
and I mean, it sucks for the Giants, and that's obviously not how you run your football team. Is giving the player himself a fresh start because that's what he needs. You as a football team need him too. But this move for Daniel Jones now. He'll count $22 million against the cap in 2025, but they save $19 million now by releasing him next year.
Dang.
So now you think, all right, again, like I was talking about though, the question you now have, if you're Mara, that is, are you going to continue to let this front office dictate who's on this roster and who this team is investing in going forward? Because now you need a quarterback.
Yes, you do.
And this next year's class, it's not as great as this past year's class was. Can you still find someone? Absolutely. Are you going to have one of the top picks? Probably at this point. So are you going to leave something like that, a decision like that can again shape your franchise?
Yeah.
Are you going to leave that up to this front office to do?
Yeah.
And that's the question mark.
They got a lot of work to do. But also what's next for Daniel Jones? He's going to be a great backup somewhere, and we've seen starters become backups and get that second chance. Jameis Winston, kind of the biggest example right now, absolutely crushed on Thursday night. Also, his personality, he was born to be on TV. He was absolutely hilarious. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, all starters who became backups and then got a second chance and are now thriving as starters. I
mean, there are places that Daniel Jones could go right now and be a starter.
Yeah. Where do you think?
He has to clear waivers first.
Yes.
Because no team's going to want to take on the $13.5 million, I think, that's still owed to him, or $13.8 million that's still owed to him in guarantees. So 4:01 p.m. Monday is when he is eligible to sign with a new team. And I don't know where he will end up, but I can tell you the funniest scenario.
Let's go. The Cowboys?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, there was a whole, like, the internet kind of went wild with that.
I don't. The thing is, you can't put something like this past Jerry Jones, though.
I know.
Because he always wants to be relevant.
And they play the Giants on Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like coming up.
Yes.
Which would be wild.
So, like, you get him in there and then you start him against his old team.
I mean,
like,
that's very
headlines.
Jerry Jones.
Very Jerry Jones.
I mean,
are you kidding?
Other solid places I think that could work that, like, need a good backup and, like, have a good coach that I think would be good for him. Miami being one of them.
Dallas isn't a good place.
49ers would be really great.
The Raiders,
as we're seeing.
The Raiders need a quarterback.
Yeah.
They're back and forth. I mean, like I said, there are places that he could go and be a starter, which includes Las Vegas. It includes Dallas right now because Cooper Rush is not the Cooper Rush because he doesn't have what Cooper Rush had last time.
No, they don't have the same run game. They don't have the same protection.
The Dallas Cowboys clearly have no interest in Trey Lance. Despite the fact they doubled down on that this week. Jerry Jones said, I'd do it again. Or maybe it was Stephen Jones, but either way, they were like, I'd do it again. And I'm like, really?
Show us. Actions speak louder than words.
I think it would be very, very funny. That is the most entertaining scenario. And right now I'm rooting for maximum chaos.
Okay. I'm into that. Well, let's move on to the next mess in New York, which are the Jets. They fired their GM, Joe Douglas, 6 weeks after firing their head coach.
No sense. Nothing they're doing.
Nothing. But
sense.
We've been getting a few different reports this week that kind of make everything not make sense, but like kind of like, okay, that's why this happened. Jets owner suggested benching Rodgers in September after the week 4 loss. Saleh said no, then lost in London. The next week he was fired. And it makes you kind of realize, okay, maybe it wasn't Aaron Rodgers that got it done. It's just Woody does not.
I still think that Aaron Rodgers had something to do with that because they were not on the same page, him and Saleh whatsoever. And you could.
But now, Woody and Rodgers aren't on the same page because there's reports that he doesn't want Rodgers back and Rodgers doesn't want to come back. Which I mean, after the way everything's gone down these last 2 seasons, why would you try to run it back for a third year?
No, I mean
you shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
No.
But I also don't know like where you're going to go that's going to be any different if you're Aaron Rodgers
who
for
would
a
want
year.
to take? That's the other thing. I was like, who do you
like,
think would
the Jets had a lot as far as the talent they had on the roster and the situation that he was going to. I won't say they were just a quarterback away because I don't believe that, but they had a really solid defense under Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
They had one of the best young receivers in the league in Garrett Wilson, and then you realize, though, all of the baggage that Rodgers comes with, and you're like, all right, now there's this push-pull of egos. There's a power struggle. Are Rodgers' friends the right thing for this organization? Yeah. And, like, it just goes spectacularly to pieces. And I have to say, I told you so. I live with someone who thought that the Jets were, up until 2 weeks ago, wouldn't quit on the Jets. And I'm like,
No. I said from the beginning, this isn't going to work. Proof of concept. We have none. There's no way this is going to work.
I mean, we have a situation where this worked. It's not the exact same situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, not exactly. Like this is where you kind of Rodgers got exposed for the lack of culture that he brings, the lack of team building he brings. He's not a really great teammate. No. We have a lot of evidence of that, except if you're one of his guys, and then he'll drag you all over the country.
So the next question is, should Rex Ryan come
Why
back
is that a question?
to the Jets?
Why is that a question?
Hold on. We're going to listen to what he had to say when he was asked about it this week.
I'd like to. There's no doubt about it. I've let everybody know that I definitely would be interested in that job, even though I got a great gig. You know, I do Sunday NFL Countdown, do Get Up, as you mentioned, and things. And it's hard to beat that job. But, you know, I think I have some unfinished business, especially with that franchise. That particular franchise is, my dad was there forever. He won a Super Bowl, and it's super close to me. And you know, I just think that, I would get back in it if I thought I could make a difference, and I think I could make a big difference with that team.
I mean, he hasn't coached since 2016, but he did make the AFC Championship game in his first 2 seasons. He has the most playoff wins in Jets franchise history.
Not saying much.
Yeah, but
also, what happened after those first 2 seasons? He didn't have another winning record in New York.
But like again, if he
didn't have a winning record with Buffalo after that.
Deals with like a crazy owner.
This is. Of course, he's going to say he wants to come back. But there's no reason to give any of this credence. Like there's just like you said, he hasn't coached since 2016. He hasn't had a winning record since 2010. That's like by the time he would coach 2025, that's 15 years.
That was the Mark Sanchez era too.
That's like it's not even the same league anymore at this point. So this is like sure, whatever, Rex Ryan, but like keep your cushy TV job. Work once, these guys are just sickos, man. Like most of the time, I love it, but I'm just like, dude, keep your cushy TV job. You have no business coming back and coaching.
If he wants to go back into the dysfunction, like,
well, also,
who else is going to take that job? No one else is going to want that job.
There's more dysfunction on the horizon too, given the fact that Woody Johnson, what did he do during Trump's last candidacy? He was the ambassador to the UK. So there is a very real chance that Woody Johnson is going to leave this franchise again to do that because he can't actually be part of the decision making for an NFL franchise while he is serving the federal government. So there's so much
about that.
The fact that like he came back in,
and
then made all of these essentially changes. Like this organization reeks of just inconsistencies, and it's because like it starts at the top.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I'm so sorry for Jets fans. I really am, guys.
You know who else I'm sorry for? Davante Adams.
I'm not.
Traded,
he knew,
traded into another dysfunctional situation where he wanted to play with a quarterback he played before, who's probably not going to be there.
He had agency in this trade.
Probably not going to be there.
He had agency in this trade. I do not feel bad for Davante Adams.
All right.
Like he knew what he was doing.
You heard it.
I don't.
All right.
Like if you're going to make your bed with Aaron Rodgers,
he did. Well, he probably told him he's going to stay there. Anywho, I mean that's
on you, man.
It's
that's
all
on you.
a dumpster